Hello everybody and welcome back. Thank you very much for joining me. Tonight I have a report that only came in about 2 weeks ago now, and it's in the Derbyshire area, Matlock area there, and it's in a place between Holloway and Whatstandwell in Derbyshire. But this is the report in the witness's own words. Around 2 weeks ago I was driving down Robin Hood Lane, which lies between Holloway and Whatstandwell in Derbyshire. I was returning after finishing up taking some photos of derelict buildings, just as the daylight was starting to fade. I'm a photographer. I packed up. As I came down the lane, which is narrow, I was driving at a moderate speed, when I realised there appeared to be a human-looking figure just stood at the edge of the road in the wood. As soon as I saw it, I stopped the car about 10 feet away from where it had walked. It did not run, but walked across the lane in front of my car. Now for the description, and believe me, I wish that this was just my imagination. Whatever it was, it stood around 7 feet tall, perhaps maybe even a little taller. I was gauging this height as I had to bend down in the car to look out of the windscreen to get a good view of it. It was covered in dark brown hair, and it had a stump neck, broad shoulders, and it was slightly bent at the knees as it walked. I am sure it was male, but to be honest, I wasn't looking directly at it, as I was so shocked that I'd seen it. Its face looked slightly like a human face would, with a flat nose and thick lips and small ears. Now the creature walked across the lane in front of my car and carried on walking up towards the old stone quarry. I gave it 15 minutes to move off and away from me, and I got out of the car, mainly for a cigarette and some fresh air, and I was pretty confused and shaken up a little bit. And I looked around on the damp ground, and there were no footprints. There wasn't any prints anywhere, not a one, on the ground. I am sure what I saw, and I am not someone who imagines things. The place is close to the canal. There's a railway line there, and the River Derwent is a good habitat with plenty of woods and fields. I did go back the next night, and I went and I sat in the quarry itself for around about 6 hours. I got there at 10 and I left around 4 a.m. There was no bird activity, no noise at all. Nothing stirred out there. I will keep going back to see if I can spot any changes in the area or catch another sign of it. Now this sighting takes place in an area split by the River Derwent. On each side of the river you'll find a number of quarries and land that has been quarried in the past and then left to go back to nature. And there are other reports in this area. One of them is situated right next to the quarry cliff, and it's a night of foreboding in Whatstandwell. And it happened to a family, and they were disturbed all night long in their holiday home, and the home backed onto the large quarry. And the witness stated, "We just all got tucked up for the evening. My husband and I were in one small bedroom, and our daughter was in the other one. Both the bedrooms were on the same side of the building, facing the highest cliff of the quarry, and that cliff had a small cave in it. The cave was set up quite high. Just outside the bedroom windows was a reed-filled, swampy sort of area. It was quite boggy. We all felt unsettled and we couldn't drift off to sleep. It was all very eerie and everything just felt off about the place. It was like we were all on red alert for something, like fight or flight. You know that feeling of foreboding, as if you've picked up on something but you can't work out what it is? The feeling of being unsettled went on for a good few hours, and then we heard 3 distinctive tree knocks, very loud, and then the sound of movement through the trees heading towards the cabin. Now back then, none of us believed in the wild people, so at this point we all felt immediately threatened, and we began to get very nervous, but none of us could explain why. We just couldn't shake the feeling, and being so far from people wasn't helping with that feeling at all. Where we were situated, out at the cabin, it was a long walk in, and it was well into the rural parts of the Peak District, so we couldn't understand why people would be coming towards the cabin, because that's how it seemed to us. like someone up to no good or a troublemaker, and they were on the way. Although none of us would say that at the time, it was only afterwards when we spoke about it that we expressed that. It felt like a band of humans up to no good were sneaking up on us, and we were all on our guard from that moment on. Although these wood knocks were in the near distance, we could hear them clearly, and then our daughter said that there was someone standing outside of her window. We thought she was mistaken, and we just passed it off as that she was made a mistake, you know, she'd got it wrong. Or she'd seen some shadows or something. We didn't hear anything, we didn't see anything. But she kept saying that she could hear someone moving about down in the reeds, just below her window. We got out of bed to go and look, but we couldn't see or hear anything. We got back into bed, and she started saying she could hear it again. Now, the rest of the night was something we've never experienced before, and thankfully, we never had to experience it again. It was like we were in some kind of suspended, timeless state. Whole minutes stretched out into hours, and this feeling of not being the only ones on the property did not shift. The night just seemed to go on forever. I think it's because our sixth sense knew to be ready against something. What or why, I don't know. But we were on our guard the whole night through. I had asked the owners if any strange occurrences had happened there, and they were quite cryptic and said, you could say that. Now, the area is also home to the beast of Ryber, an unknown creature said to stalk the village of Ryber. It's often heard but not seen. It steals food and animals from farms. It takes livestock and stalks walkers and campers in the area. No description is ever the same for the beast. So for now, I'm unable to bring you any further details on that. But there are, within walking distance in all honesty, quite a number of other reports. The wood that was here many, many years ago would have stretched almost to Sherwood in all honesty, and it is underrun with a lot of cave systems. And if we look on either side of the reports, there is a huge tiger-sized cat that's also been mentioned in the area. And it says, hi, I was fishing once at Higham Farm Fisheries in Derbyshire, and I saw a large cat creeping down the side of one of the lakes. I was awoke about 2 a.m. to a noise at the back of my bivvy. So I got up with my headlight on, and I saw a huge cat creeping through the trees. This thing was huge, like a tiger. And when I put the light on, it just stood there and stared at me for a few seconds. And then it shot off into the trees. So what I will do now is I'll look along the River Derwent and I'll see what reports follow that. And I will bring them to you in a future update, of course, altogether. But I brought this one to you tonight because I knew that you'd want to listen to it, with it being a very recent report. Because most people say to me, what's the most recent report that you get? And what's the most recent report that you get? And as I said in the past, and that all the reports that I get happen immediately. Some of them are from 30 years ago, some of them are from last year. But we do get 2 or 3 a year that are current and up to date. So the next time somebody asks me when was your last report, Deborah, I can now confidently say in December of 2019 in the Matlock area of Derbyshire. So until next time, thank you all very much for joining me. Good night.